The old star fortress drifted in the silence of space. Its hull was cracked and scarred, with broken towers pointing into the void like the ribs of some giant skeleton. No ship had docked there in hundreds of years, at least none that returned to speak of it. To most travelers it was a cursed place, avoided even when charting the shortest course. But Aaron was not like most travelers. He was young, curious, and stubborn. His small craft, the lantern, glided toward the ruined fortress with engines dimmed. He had heard the warnings from the spaceport merchants. They told him no one who went there came back the same. They spoke of whispers in the dark and of a presence that watched from the shadows. Yet none of that stopped him. Aaron was the kind of man who wanted to see the truth with his own eyes. He docked the lantern to one of the half-collapsed ports. The airlock sealed with a hiss, and Aaron checked his helmet before stepping inside. The air smelled stale, and the corridors beyond were lit only by faint red glows from dying emergency lamps. His boots echoed against the metal floor as he moved forward. Dust floated weightless in the air. The silence was deep but not empty. Aaron felt something there, as if the walls themselves remembered. He passed faded banners of a forgotten empire, torn and drifting in the weak gravity. Strange symbols were carved into the doors, sharp lines forming the crest of a family long dead. Aaron kept moving, guided by the faint signals of his scanner. His goal was the central chamber, the heart of the fortress. According to old records, it was once a throne room, where rulers of a distant people commanded fleets. The scanner flickered with static, then steadied as though something ahead interfered with its signal. The deeper he went, the stronger the feeling grew. It was not just silence anymore. It was a presence. Aaron felt eyes on him, though he saw no one. His grip on his tool tightened, though it was not a weapon, only a scanner rod. He told himself it was only nerves. At last he reached the great doors of the chamber. They stood tall, heavier than any others, their surface etched with silver designs of wings and stars. Strangely, though the rest of the fortress decayed, these doors looked untouched. With effort, Aaron pushed them open, and they slid aside without resistance. The chamber beyond was vast, wide enough to hold a starship. Faded light shone from crystal panels on the ceiling, casting the room in a pale glow. At the center rose a black platform, and upon it rested a massive coffin of polished stone and metal. Strange energy shimmered faintly around it like a heat wave frozen in place. Aaron froze, his breath caught in his throat. Someone was standing beside the coffin. She was tall, with skin pale as moonlight and long dark hair that flowed like liquid shadow. Her eyes burned red, not like fire but like stars seen through blood. She wore a gown of black silk that seemed both ancient and new. She did not move at first. She only watched him, silent like a predator studying prey. Aaron forced himself to speak. "Who are you?" The woman's voice was soft, yet it filled the chamber as if the walls themselves carried it. "You are bold human to walk into my hall. Few of your kind would dare." Aaron's throat tightened. "You were expecting me." Her lips curved into a faint smile. "I was waiting. Not for you, but for someone like you. And now you stand here, just as the old stars foretold." She stepped closer, and though she moved slowly, it seemed she crossed the floor in only a breath. Aaron held his ground. He had seen strange beings before, but nothing like her. There was a weight in her presence, as if the air grew heavy around her. He asked again, more firmly, "Who are you?" She tilted her head slightly. "I am Countess Mirren, last of the Veilborn. My people are gone. My empire turned to ash, but I endure." She placed a hand upon the coffin beside her. "This is my cradle and my tomb, the vessel that carried me through centuries. And now you, human, stand before me." Aaron's instincts screamed at him to leave, yet something stronger than fear held him still. There was loneliness in her words, a sorrow beneath her pride. He asked, "Why wait here in this ruin? What do you want from me?" Her crimson eyes gleamed. "Companionship, perhaps, or witness. I have walked through centuries in silence with only shadows for company. Do you know what silence does to a mind?" She looked at him as if searching his soul. "But humans are different. You burn so quickly, yet you burn so bright. That is why I called and you came." Aaron frowned. "I did not come because of you. I came because I wanted to see what was here." Her smile deepened, and for the first time it seemed almost kind. "And yet you are here in my chamber at my side. Chance is only the mask of fate." The air around the coffin shimmered stronger now, as if stirred by her words. Aaron stepped closer despite himself. The coffin was huge, carved with runes that glowed faintly with crimson light. It seemed more machine than stone, wires and crystal veins pulsing beneath its surface. "What is it?" Aaron asked. "My survival," Myron said. "When my people fell, I sealed myself here. The coffin preserves me, though its strength wanes with each century. It waits for one to share its burden." Aaron's chest tightened. He did not like the way she looked at him when she said that. "Share its burden how?" She did not answer with words. Instead, she laid her pale hand on the lid and the runes glowed brighter. A deep hum filled the air, vibrating in Aaron's bones. He felt a pull like invisible strings tugging at his heart. Myron's voice softened. "Come closer, human. Look inside. See the truth of the coffin and you will understand why you cannot leave." Aaron shook his head and stepped back. "I came to explore, not to be trapped." Her eyes locked onto his, unblinking. "If you leave now, you will never find peace. You have touched the edge of something greater. It will follow you, haunt you. Better to accept it here with me." Aaron's heart pounded. His mind screamed at him to run, but his body felt heavy, rooted to the floor. He realized then that the danger was not only her power, but his own curiosity. Part of him wanted to know. Part of him wanted to see what lay within the coffin. He clenched his fists and forced himself to speak. "I am not your prisoner." Myron studied him for a long moment. Then, to his surprise, she stepped back. The glow dimmed and the air eased. "Not yet," she said quietly. "But you will return to this place even if you leave. That is the way of humans. Once you see the door to eternity, you cannot walk away from it." Her words chilled him more than threats could. Aaron turned and moved toward the door. His legs felt heavy, but they carried him out of the chamber. As the doors slid shut behind him, her voice followed, soft as a whisper carried by the walls. "You are mine now, Aaron. Even if you flee, you will return. And when you do, the coffin will open for you." Aaron hurried through the halls, heart racing, but deep inside he knew she was right. The image of her crimson eyes and the shimmering coffin burned in his mind, and no distance in the galaxy could erase it. The encounter was only the beginning. Aaron could not forget the sight of the coffin, nor the sound of the Countess's voice. Even as his small craft left the ruined fortress behind, the memory followed him. Stars passed outside his window, but his thoughts remained chained to the pale figure who had stood beside the strange machine. He tried to convince himself it was nothing but an encounter with an ancient survivor, but deep inside he knew it was more. Days passed as he drifted from one outpost to another. He traded supplies, spoke with travelers, and listened to the chatter of pilots. Yet everything seemed hollow, as though his mind was not present. The Countess's words returned in his head again and again. She had said he would return, and the more he tried to push the thought aside, the stronger it grew. At a busy mining station, Aaron asked questions without realizing he was searching for answers. Old workers looked uneasy when he mentioned the fortress. Some turned away in silence. One man, his beard gray with age, finally muttered, "Best not to speak of it, boy. There are places where time itself grows sick. That fortress is one of them. It feeds on the curious and none leave unchanged." Aaron pressed no further, but the words only added fuel to the fire. He knew he was already changed. The silence of the coffin's chamber had followed him, a weight pressing on his chest even in crowded halls. That night in the quiet of his cabin, he dreamed. He saw the coffin again, glowing with crimson light. He saw Countess Myron, her hand reaching out to him. He tried to turn away, but the dream locked him in place. When he woke, sweat clung to his skin, and the memory of her touch lingered as if it had been real. By the fourth day, Aaron gave up fighting the pull. He told himself he would only return once, only to look again, to prove to himself he was not trapped by her words. He set course back to the ruined fortress. The halls were the same when he entered again, yet they felt less foreign. It was as though the fortress remembered him. His steps carried him faster this time, his fear replaced by strange anticipation. The great doors opened without his touch, sliding apart as if they welcomed him. Myron stood where he had last seen her, tall and silent beside the coffin. Her crimson eyes caught the weak light and held it like jewels. She smiled faintly as he entered. "I told you," she said, her voice smooth. "You would return." Aaron swallowed, forcing steady words. "I came to understand, not to stay." Her gaze lingered on him with patient calm. "Understanding is the first step. The rest follows in time." She moved her hand across the coffin's surface. The runes brightened, casting red light across the chamber. "Do you wish to see what lies within?" Aaron hesitated, his body torn between caution and hunger for truth. "Show me." With a sound like stone grinding against stone, the coffin's lid slid back. Aaron braced himself, expecting death or decay, but what he saw left him speechless. Inside the coffin, crystals glowed with slow pulses of light. They formed a web that wrapped around a hollow space where a seat of dark metal waited. Strange symbols ran along its edges, shifting as though alive. It was not a coffin in the human sense. It was a machine, one built to preserve and sustain. Mirren's voice carried a note of pride. "This vessel holds memory, blood, and thought. It is both sanctuary and prison. Without it, I would have fallen into the void long ago." Aaron stepped closer, his hand twitching as if it wanted to reach out. "It looks alive." "In a way it is," she said softly. "It responds to will, to trust. Alone, it weakens. With another, it grows strong." Aaron turned sharply. "Another, you mean me?" Her eyes never wavered. "Yes, the coffin chose you when you stepped into this chamber. You felt its call. That is why you returned." Anger mixed with fear in Aaron's chest. "I returned because I wanted answers. Not because some ancient machine called me." Myron stepped closer. She moved with grace, but the air thickened as she did, as if the very chamber bent around her. "Then why does your heart race when you look at it? Why do your thoughts circle back no matter how far you run?" Aaron opened his mouth, but no answer came. She was right. His return proved it. Mirren extended her hand toward him. "Do not fear it. Step closer. Place your hand upon the vessel. See what I have seen?" For a long moment, Aaron stood frozen. Every instinct warned him against it, but curiosity was stronger. He slowly lifted his hand and placed it on the surface of the coffin. The moment his skin touched the runes, a rush of vision struck him. His mind filled with scenes of a great empire, fleets of silver ships rising from crystal cities. He saw Myron standing proud on a balcony as her people bowed below. He saw battles fought across the stars, their enemies driven back by fear alone. Then came ruin. Fire consumed the cities, fleets shattered, and the proud empire collapsed into silence. Aaron gasped and pulled his hand away. His knees weakened, but he forced himself to stand. "I saw it. I saw your world." Myron's eyes softened with sorrow. "Now you know what I guard. Memory of a people lost. I endure so they are not forgotten. But endurance is empty without another to share it." Aaron's voice was tight. "And you think I should stay here with you? In that coffin?" Her hand lowered slowly. "I do not think. I know you are human. Your kind clings to hope even when crushed. That is why the coffin called you. It craves your fire." Aaron shook his head. "I cannot give up my life for this. I came here by choice, and I can leave by choice." Her smile returned, faint but unshaken. "You may leave now. But the bond has formed. You carry part of the coffin within you. Even across the stars it will whisper. You will never be free of it." Aaron turned away, anger mixing with dread. He walked to the doors, his steps hard and loud. Yet behind him her voice followed. "You will return again, Aaron. Not because I command it, but because your own spirit demands it. You search for meaning in ruins, and here lies more meaning than anywhere in the galaxy. You cannot deny it." The doors closed behind him, but her words clung to his mind. He left the fortress again. But even in the silence of his ship, he felt the coffin's hum within his chest. It was faint, like a heartbeat not his own, but it was there. He had come seeking answers. Now he carried something far greater, and he did not know if it was a gift or a curse. The Countess had shown him only a glimpse of the truth, but it was enough to bind him tighter than chains. Aaron sat alone in the cabin of the lantern, staring into the stars. His thoughts were restless, his spirit torn. He told himself he would resist, that he would not return. But deep down he knew the fortress had marked him, and the Countess was waiting. The journey was no longer his alone. The coffin had chosen him. Aaron drifted through the star lanes with little rest. He had tried to escape the weight pressing on his chest, yet the memory of the Countess and her coffin followed him like a shadow. Even when far from the ruined fortress, he felt its echo. A faint hum pulsed in the back of his mind, like the heartbeat of something alive within him. He told himself he could ignore it, but he knew it was only a matter of time before the pull grew too strong. At small ports, he avoided people, speaking little and trading only for fuel and supplies. Yet the silence gave him no peace. In the dark of his cabin, he dreamed again. He saw Myron standing in her chamber, her eyes glowing with patient fire. Her words carried across the dream, telling him he would return. When he woke, he realized she did not need to force him. His own spirit dragged him back. One cycle later, Aaron turned his ship toward the forgotten sector once more. He cursed himself for weakness, yet his hands did not hesitate on the controls. He passed dead stars and drifting rocks, and soon the black silhouette of the fortress rose before him. Its broken towers looked the same as before, but to Aaron they now seemed like arms reaching to pull him in. Docking again, he stepped into the stale air of the halls. This time he carried no scanner rod. He carried only his resolve. The doors opened without his touch, as though the fortress welcomed him like an old friend. Myron waited in the chamber, her tall form bathed in the red glow of the coffin's runes. She turned as he entered, and her faint smile deepened. "You fought it for as long as you could," she said, her voice smooth as silk. "Now you understand." Aaron clenched his fists. "I came to demand the truth. No more half-answers. What does the coffin want with me?" Her eyes lingered on him, calm and steady. "The coffin is not a thing apart. It is bound to me. As I endure, so does it. But alone it decays. It requires balance, another will to join with mine. You felt it called to you because your spirit is unlike others. Strong but not cruel. Curious but not blind." Aaron's voice was low. "And if I refuse?" The red light flickered across her pale face. "You will still carry the bond. You will still hear its hum in your heart. You will wander restless until the pull brings you back. Refusal does not break the tie. It only deepens your struggle." Aaron's chest tightened. He hated her calm certainty, yet he knew she spoke truth. "You could force me." "Why not?" Myron's eyes softened. "Because the coffin does not thrive on chains. It requires choice. A prisoner would weaken it. Only a partner can strengthen it." Her words struck him like a blade. He wanted to deny them, but he remembered the visions he had seen when he touched the coffin. He had felt her empire's glory and ruin, and he had felt her loneliness like a weight heavier than stone. That loneliness was not a lie. Aaron moved closer, though he did not mean to, his eyes fixed on the coffin, its surface glowing faintly with life. "Show me more. If you want me to believe, then show me everything." Myron nodded slowly. She placed her hand on the runes, and they flared brighter. "Then step closer. Place your hand again and let it open fully. See what I cannot speak." Aaron hesitated, then reached out. His palm touched the cold surface. At once the vision surged through him, stronger than before. He saw not only her empire, but her own life. He saw her as a child beneath towering crystal spires, learning the ways of her people. He saw her rise to power, feared by enemies and worshipped by subjects. He saw her watch her world crumble, her people fall, and her throne burn. Alone, she fled into the coffin, binding herself to survive when all else perished. The images blurred, and Aaron felt her emotions bleed into him. Pride, sorrow, despair, and a longing so deep it could drown the stars. His knees buckled, but he did not pull away. At last the visions faded, and he gasped for breath. His hand fell, trembling. "You lived through all of that, alone." Her gaze held both fire and sadness. "Yes, alone until you." Aaron's mind reeled. Part of him wanted to run, to escape the burden she carried. But another part, deeper and stronger, could not turn away. He had seen her truth. It was not only power that bound him, but empathy. "I do not know if I can carry this," he admitted, his voice rough. "You already do." Myron replied softly. "That is why you suffer away from me. The bond is real, and it grows stronger each time you return. Soon you will not ask if you can carry it. You will ask what it becomes when you embrace it." Aaron stepped back, torn between anger and sorrow. "You make it sound like my fate was decided the moment I walked through these doors." Her smile was faint, almost tender. "Perhaps it was. Or perhaps it was decided long before, when you chose to seek places others feared. Your nature brought you here, not my command." The chamber grew silent. The hum of the coffin pulsed between them, slow and steady like a heartbeat. Aaron felt it in his bones, a rhythm that now matched his own. Finally he whispered, "If I accept what happens to me." Myron's eyes glowed softly. "You do not vanish. You do not lose yourself. You join with me, and through the coffin we endure together. Your spirit strengthens mine, and mine steadies yours. You become more, not less." Aaron's heart pounded. The thought both terrified and fascinated him. To share eternity, to bear the memory of a lost empire, to become something greater than human, it was more than he had ever dreamed, yet more than he thought he could bear. He turned toward the door, his steps heavy. I need time. Mirren did not move to stop him. Her voice followed him as he left. Take all the time you wish. The bond waits. The coffin waits. I wait. Aaron walked the halls, his mind a storm. He had come seeking truth, and he had found it. But truth was not simple. It was heavy, and it clung to him like chains. No matter how far he traveled, he knew he could not escape. When he returned to his ship, the hum within him was louder than ever. He stared out at the stars, knowing each one was a reminder of her eyes, her sorrow, and the coffin that pulsed with his heartbeat. He wanted freedom, yet part of him already longed to go back. The struggle had only begun. Aaron drifted through space in his small craft, but no distance gave him peace. Every star he passed seemed to whisper of the fortress. Every silence in the cabin echoed with the Countess's voice. He told himself he was free to go anywhere, yet the pull of the coffin was constant, steady as a tide. He tried to distract himself with work. He landed on a trading moon and joined miners in their taverns. He listened to stories of pirates, storms, and lost ships, but nothing reached his heart. His thoughts always returned to her. Countess Myron had given him more than visions. She had given him a bond, and he felt it in every breath. One evening he sat at a station dock staring at the endless dark beyond the window. A miner approached, drawn by Aaron's quiet presence. The old man studied him for a long time before speaking. You've seen something you can't let go, haven't you? Aaron looked up, startled. What makes you say that? The man's eyes were weary but knowing. I've seen it before. Men who touch something bigger than themselves. They wander, but they never escape. Whatever it is, it will call you back until you answer. Aaron said nothing, but the truth weighed heavy. That night, when he returned to his cabin, the dream came again. He saw Mirren seated beside the coffin, her gaze fixed on him. This time she did not call with words. She simply looked at him, and he felt the bond tighten. He woke with his chest aching, as if part of him had been left behind in the dream. The next day, he made his choice. He turned the lantern back toward the forgotten sector. He no longer pretended he could resist. If he wanted peace, he had to face her again. The fortress rose before him, black and broken, yet waiting like a beacon. As he stepped once more into its halls, the air seemed warmer, almost welcoming. The great doors opened, and there she was. Countess Myron stood tall, her dark hair flowing like water, her crimson eyes steady on him. You return again, she said softly. Each time you come faster. Aaron's voice was quiet but firm. I cannot deny it. The coffin will not let me go, and neither will you. Her faint smile held no cruelty, only certainty. I told you. The bond does not fade, it grows. But now you're ready to listen? Aaron moved closer, his eyes fixed on the coffin. I want answers, Myron, not half-truths. If I join you, what becomes of me, what becomes of us? She placed her hand on the coffin's runes, and they flared with crimson light. Then hear me. The coffin is not only a vessel of survival, it is a bridge. Alone I am trapped in the silence of centuries. With another I share the weight. Your spirit becomes woven with mine, and together we endure. You will feel my memories, my strength, and my sorrow. In turn, your hope, your fire will feed the coffin, keeping it alive. Aaron's chest tightened, and I remain myself. You remain, she said, but more than yourself. You will not vanish into me, nor I into you. Instead, we become something greater, a union of two wills, strong enough to resist the emptiness of eternity. He struggled with the thought. The idea of losing even a part of himself filled him with dread, yet the vision of her loneliness filled him with equal sorrow. He remembered the ruins he had seen in the visions, the fall of her empire and her centuries of silence. She had carried all of it alone. Aaron took a slow breath. Tell me why me? Of all who might have come, why a human? Her crimson eyes softened. Because humans carry a flame unlike any other. Your kind is fragile, yet you endure. You stumble, yet you rise again. I watched your kind from afar, and I envied it. When the coffin weakened, it reached for that flame. It found you. He felt the hum within his chest, steady as his own heartbeat. It was true. The coffin had chosen him. And if I refuse, if I walk away forever, her gaze held his without wavering. Then you will live with the bond gnawing at you. You will wander restless, never at peace. The coffin's call will remain even unto your last breath. You cannot erase it, Aaron's fist tightened. He hated that the choice felt no choice at all. Yet beneath the weight of it, he also felt something else. He felt her trust. She had not forced him. She had left the decision in his hands. Show me, he said at last. Show me what it means to share the coffin. Mirren stepped aside, her hand brushing across the runes. The lid slid open, revealing the pulsing crystals within. The light washed across the chamber, painting their faces in red and silver. She extended her hand toward him. Step inside, not as a prisoner, as my equal. Aaron stared at her hand. His mind raced with fear and wonder. This was the step from which there was no return. Yet as he looked into her crimson eyes, he saw no hunger, no cruelty. He saw longing. He saw a woman who had lost everything, waiting centuries for someone who could understand. Slowly, he placed his hand in hers. Her grip was cool yet steady. Together, they stepped toward the coffin. As Aaron climbed inside, the crystals pulsed brighter. The seat shaped itself to his form, as though it had been waiting for him. Myron settled beside him, her presence calm and unshaken. The lid began to close and Aaron's breath caught. Darkness wrapped around them, pierced only by the glow of the runes. He felt the hum grow louder, filling his bones, his blood, his very thoughts. Then came the flood. Visions burst within him again, but this time they did not overwhelm. He saw her life, her memories, her sorrow, but now he also felt his own fire weaving through them. The despair that once crushed her softened. The silence that once drowned her now carried his heartbeat. Myron's voice reached him, not with sound but with thought. Do you feel it? Aaron answered without speaking. Yes, you are not alone anymore. Her presence warmed, almost gentle. And neither are you. The coffin's hum settled into harmony with their shared rhythm. Aaron felt stronger, not weaker. He felt his fear steady, his doubts quiet. He was still himself, yet more. When the lid opened again, the chamber glowed with renewed light. The coffin no longer seemed a tomb, but a beacon. Mirren rose beside him, her eyes softer than ever. You chose freely, and now you will never leave, not as a prisoner, but as one who walks with me. Aaron stepped out, his legs steady. The bond within him was no longer a weight. It was strength. He looked at her and realized that his choice had reshaped not only his fate but hers. For the first time since he had entered the fortress, he did not feel the urge to run. He felt only the steady hum of the coffin and the strange peace of knowing he was no longer alone. The fortress lights flickered with life, long-dead systems stirring as if awakened by their bond. The ruins were not only ruins anymore. They were alive again, just as she was. Aaron knew his path was sealed. Yet for the first time he did not fear it. The fortress trembled as Aaron stepped into the coffin beside Countess Mirren. The machine hummed with deep life as if waiting for this very moment. Aaron felt the pull of ancient power, heavy and endless, yet softened by the warmth of her presence. He was no longer a trespasser, but part of the story that had waited centuries to be completed. Mirren turned her gaze toward him. Her crimson eyes no longer held only hunger. They held sorrow, memory, and now a strange hope. She spoke softly, her voice carrying both command and vulnerability. You understand, Aaron, this is not a prison. It is a bond. Once we are linked, our paths cannot part. Aaron looked into the endless chamber that seemed larger on the inside than the coffin's frame suggested. It glowed with pale threads of light, stretching into infinity like the veins of a living star. He could feel her heartbeat through the machine, slow and old yet steady. I know, he answered. And I choose it. The coffin closed. The sound was not of finality, but of awakening. A surge of energy wrapped around them, flowing into Aaron's skin, into his thoughts, into his very spirit. Images rushed into his mind. The fall of Mirren's empire, the burning skies of her world, the cries of her people as shadows devoured them. Yet he also felt her longing, the centuries of silence, the ache of loneliness. She had endured endless nights, waiting for a soul that would not turn away. Aaron did not retreat. He reached toward her hand and she accepted it. Their bond was sealed not by chains but by choice. The fortress reacted at once. Dormant systems roared to life. Halls that had been dark for centuries shone with radiant blue light. Engines deep within the structure stirred, shaking the dust of ages from their frames. Across the galaxy, old sensors pinged alive, marking the return of a legend thought lost. Myron gasped, her body glowing faintly with renewed strength. Her pale skin warmed with faint color, as if sunlight had touched her for the first time in ages. I feel it, she whispered. Your spirit is not like the others. It does not bend to despair. It shines, Aaron steadied himself. The energy coursing through him was overwhelming, but he focused on her words. That is what it means to be human. We move forward even when the night seems endless. You don't have to be alone in it anymore. The coffin expanded its vision outward. Together they saw the galaxy through its mind. Fleets moving, worlds thriving, species living unaware that a fortress of the old world had awakened. For Myron, this was the return of a stage she once ruled. For Aaron, it was the beginning of a future he had never imagined. But not all signals were peaceful. As the fortress came alive, old enemies stirred. Machines that once fought Myron's kind detected her pulse again. They awoke in distant voids, setting a path toward her fortress. Red lights blinked in hidden stations, summoning warships from slumber. The galaxy would not ignore her return. Myron felt the echo and grew still. They are coming. The hunters who sought my people will rise once more. They will not allow me to stand. Aaron squeezed her hand firmly. Then they will not face only you. They will face us. Her eyes widened at his certainty. She had expected fear, perhaps retreat, but not defiance. The warmth of his resolve flowed into her veins through the bond, strengthening her beyond anything the coffin had once given. The days that followed were filled with preparation. The fortress unfolded its wings, massive energy arrays that stretched across space, gathering light from nearby stars. Machines long dormant marched once again in its halls, obeying the commands of Myron and now acknowledging Aaron as part of its master core. Together, they walked the fortress as co-commanders of a sleeping empire reborn. Aaron trained with its systems, learning to control drones, to direct energy, and to steer the mighty station through void currents. Myron guided him patiently, her voice softer now, less commanding and more sharing. She told him stories of her people, of how they believed their spirit was eternal, yet it faded when they lost faith. Aaron in return shared tales of Earth, how humans built cities from nothing, how they dreamed of reaching stars without wings, how they survived by standing together. Each story built a bridge between them. Each moment bound them closer. When the hunters finally arrived, they came as a fleet of black vessels, silent and vast, armed with weapons forged for one purpose: erasure. Their appearance was a reminder of Myron's deepest fear, the shadow that had destroyed her people. Yet as she stood on the command deck beside Aaron, she no longer trembled. The coffin's bond pulsed between them, spreading strength into both. Aaron raised his hand toward the stars, and the fortress obeyed. Its engines roared and light surged across its weapons. The battle began. The hunters descended in waves, their ships surrounding the fortress like predators. Energy beams lashed out, striking shields that flared but did not fail. The fortress answered with its own cannons, beams of pure light that cut through the void. Explosions lit the darkness as enemy ships fell, but still more came. Myron guided the power, her instincts ancient and precise. Aaron added his human will, his ability to adapt, to see patterns where others saw only chaos. Together they wove a strategy neither could form alone. Hours passed in fire and shadow. The hunters pressed hard, but for the first time in centuries the fortress did not yield. Aaron's resolve burned within its core, and Myron's sorrow turned into defiance. At last the enemy faltered. One by one their ships were destroyed, until the void was silent again. The fortress stood victorious. On the command deck, Myron lowered her head, trembling from exhaustion, yet smiling faintly. I never thought I would see this day. My people are gone, yet their spirit has lived in me long enough to meet yours. You have changed what I am. Aaron placed his hand on hers. And you changed what I thought was possible. You said I would never leave. Maybe you were right. But it's not a prison. It's a choice I would make again. The fortress drifted through the stars, now a beacon instead of a tomb. Across distant worlds, signals of its survival spread. Some feared. Some wondered. Some hoped. For Myron and Aaron, the journey was only beginning. The galaxy would challenge them, but no longer would she face it alone. The human spirit had entered her endless night, turning it into dawn, and in the heart of the coffin where their bond was sealed, two lives became one story, an ancient countess and a human explorer, bound together not by chains but by will. She had once said he would never leave, and he never did because he chose to stay.